The moment you stop speaking like everyone else is the moment you start leading. Because leaders don't echo, they elevate. They don't chase approval, they communicate vision. When your words carry purpose instead of just noise, people don't just hear you, they follow you. The way you speak today trains the world how to treat you tomorrow. Start talking like a leader, with purpose, presence, and power, and watch how everything changes. What if you could speak in a way that instantly commands respect and attention? What if your words had the power to inspire and influence, making people want to follow your lead? What if you could communicate with confidence and clarity, whether you're giving a speech or simply having a conversation? The way you talk matters more than you might think. It's not just about the words you say, it's about how you say them, how you carry yourself, and how you make others feel when you speak. Leaders don't just talk to be heard, they talk to make an impact. This isn't just about learning fancy phrases or corporate jargon. It's about being authentic, being clear, and being compelling. Ready to transform the way you speak and take control of any conversation. If you're ready to communicate with authority, confidence, and purpose, then let's dive in. Chapter 1. Speak with clarity using simple, confident language. Most people find themselves lost in their own words when they speak. It happens all the time. You start with an idea in your head, but when it comes out, it sounds jumbled, uncertain, or unclear. The reason is simple. Complexity and confusion cloud the message. If your language is tangled or full of fancy words, listeners lose you immediately. That's the reality many face. They have good thoughts, but lose impact because they don't express them simply or confidently. Speaking like a leader begins with one clear principle: clarity. Speak in a way that everyone understands, without struggle. Use words that carry meaning, not words that fill air. Simple language is not dumb language. It is powerful language. It shows you understand your message so well, you can make it easy for others to understand too. When you speak clearly, people lean in. They want to listen. They don't have to guess your meaning or get lost in complexity. Confidence is born out of clarity. When you know what you want to say, and say it plainly, you naturally sound sure of yourself. The first step in speaking with clarity is to decide what your core message is. Before you speak, think about the one thing you want people to remember. It could be a fact, an idea, or a call to action. Whatever it is, hold that thought tightly in your mind. Every sentence you say should support that message. Avoid drifting into unrelated ideas or unnecessary details. Keep your sentences short and direct. Long, winding sentences drain the listener's attention. Clear speakers choose simple words over complicated ones. Instead of saying utilize, say use. Instead of ameliorate, say improve. People don't need you to impress them with big words. They need you to connect with them. Simplicity builds trust. It tells the listener you respect their time and mind. Confidence in speech is not about speaking loudly or aggressively. It is about speaking with steady calmness and certainty. When you're clear in your thoughts, your voice naturally settles into a confident tone. It's not about sounding perfect, it's about sounding real and sure. Practice this by slowing down. Rushing through your words often leads to confusion. When you slow your speech, you give yourself time to form clear thoughts. You give your listeners time to process your message. This small change creates a powerful difference. Imagine talking as if you're handing someone a delicate package. You want to make sure it arrives safely and intact. Your words are that package. Handle them carefully with clarity and confidence. One common mistake people make is trying to use too many words to explain something. They think more words equal better explanation. The opposite is true. Good leaders speak like they are cutting through noise, not adding to it. Every word should have purpose. When your language is direct and meaningful, it commands attention. You build respect because you show you value clear communication. Avoid filler words like like, and you know. These words weaken your message and suggest uncertainty. Your audience wants to hear strong, clear statements. Your language should say, "I know what I'm talking about." This is how leaders gain credibility. Visualize how your words feel to others. Are they smooth and easy to follow? Or are they confusing and heavy? The best way to improve clarity is to prepare. Think about your main points and practice saying them aloud. Listening to your own voice helps identify unclear parts. Rewrite or rephrase sentences that don't sound right. When you practice, your confidence grows. Speaking clearly is a skill like any other. The more you work on it, the more natural it becomes. When you get clear, confident, simple in your speech, you invite people to trust you. You open the door for influence. Clear speech also reflects clear thinking. People can tell when your mind is focused because your words come out focused too. If your thoughts are scattered, your speech follows. That's why leaders spend time organizing their ideas before they speak. They understand that words shape perception. Clear language creates a clear image in the listener's mind. It reduces misunderstandings. It inspires action. When your language is simple and confident, people feel safe following you. They don't have to guess your intentions or decode hidden meanings. Many shy away from simple language because they believe complexity sounds smarter. But the truth is, complicated language often hides insecurity. It's a mask for uncertainty. A confident leader is bold enough to speak plainly. That honesty builds respect and loyalty. When you drop the complicated words and stick to the basics, you speak like someone who knows their worth and purpose. That is magnetic. People want to be around someone who makes things easy to understand. There is also an emotional power in simple, clear language. When you remove confusion, you reduce frustration for your listeners. You create calm. You show respect. Your words become a bridge, not a wall. Your message lands with impact because it is felt, not just heard. The energy in clear speech is undeniable. It carries sincerity. It invites trust. When you speak with clarity, you lead with heart. In everyday conversation, this principle applies as well. Whether you're talking to a team, a group of friends, or strangers, clarity matters. You become a voice of reason. People look to you for guidance. Your words create direction. When faced with difficult topics, clarity is even more crucial. People need straightforward communication to feel secure. Your clear speech becomes a beacon. It cuts through fear and doubt. Another important point is to avoid over-explaining. Leaders don't confuse with excessive details or side notes. They share enough to inform and inspire, then stop. Trust that your simple, confident message will speak for itself. This shows discipline and respect for others' time. It also keeps your message memorable. When people leave a conversation with you, they should recall your main point, not a string of unnecessary facts. It's easy to get caught in the trap of sounding technical or complicated when you want to impress. But leadership is not about sounding impressive. It is about being understood and trusted. You want your listeners to say, "I get it, I believe it, I want to follow." Simple, confident language creates that effect. It invites connection. Chapter 2. Pause often to emphasize key leadership points. Many people struggle with talking non-stop. They fill every moment with words because they think silence means weakness or uncertainty. In reality, rushing through your speech often causes your message to lose power. When people speak without pause, listeners get overwhelmed and distracted. The mind cannot absorb important ideas if they come too fast or without space. The ability to pause at the right time is one of the most overlooked leadership skills. It gives your words weight. It makes people listen harder. It creates an atmosphere where your message can settle deeply in the minds and hearts of your audience. Most speakers miss this opportunity. They fear the pause and hurry to fill it. This fear takes away from their authority. Strong leaders know that silence is a tool. They use it deliberately. The first step to mastering pause is understanding its purpose. Pausing is not a sign of weakness or forgetfulness. It is a moment of power. It lets your listeners think about what you just said. It signals that what you said is important. When you pause after a key sentence, you send a clear signal that the point deserves attention. This quiet moment creates tension, a natural curiosity in the room. People lean forward. Their minds engage. They want to hear what comes next. A well-timed pause invites reflection. It encourages your audience to connect emotionally to your message. When you use pause effectively, your words become like strong, steady beats rather than a flood of noise. It is important to resist the urge to fill every silence with filler words or more sentences. Those moments are your greatest chance to influence. Instead of rushing ahead, hold the space. Let your words breathe. Imagine that each sentence is a seed planted in the soil of your listeners' minds. The pause is the rain and sunshine that allows that seed to grow. Without pause, the seed falls on hard ground and cannot take root. Silence is the invisible force behind every memorable speech. Leaders who master this use pauses strategically to highlight what matters most. Pause also gives you time to collect your thoughts. Speaking continuously often leads to confusion, mistakes, and loss of focus. When you pause, you give yourself a moment to evaluate what you have said and prepare what comes next. This reduces nervousness and helps you maintain control of the conversation. The momentary break calms your nerves and sharpens your focus. You appear more deliberate and in command. People respect speakers who seem thoughtful rather than rushed. Most people underestimate how uncomfortable silence can feel, both for speakers and listeners. That discomfort causes many to rush through their words. But leaders have the courage to stay in the silence. They trust that the audience is ready to listen and think. They do not fear the quiet. Instead, they use it to build suspense and emphasize their points. This quiet confidence strengthens their message. The pause is a spotlight shining on what they want to highlight. It separates ordinary speech from leadership speech. To use pause well, it is necessary to prepare. Think about where the most important points are in your message. Practice stopping right after these points. Notice how the pause changes the impact of your words. Record yourself if you can. Listen for moments when you speak too fast or when a pause would add strength. Speaking slowly and deliberately takes practice, especially if you are used to rushing. But with repeated effort, it becomes natural. Your audience will sense the difference immediately. When you pause, your voice also gains a more natural rhythm. Instead of a constant stream of words, you create a musical flow that holds attention. People respond to this rhythm without realizing it. Your pauses act like the rests between notes in music. They give your message shape and clarity. When your voice rises and falls with intentional pauses, it becomes more engaging and easier to follow. The listener's brain enjoys this balance and remains focused longer. It is not only what you say, but how you say it that matters. The pause is a way to show that you value your own message and respect your audience's need to absorb it. This respect builds trust. When people trust you, they are more likely to follow your lead. The pause sends a message that you are confident enough to slow down, to allow your words to have full effect. It shows you are in control of your communication and not just filling time. Many leaders forget that leadership is not about talking more. It is about making your words count. A single powerful sentence, followed by a meaningful pause, can do more to inspire and influence than a long paragraph spoken without breaks. This discipline separates leaders from those who just talk. The pause sharpens your presence. It lets your leadership shine through your speech. The emotional impact of a pause is also significant. When people hear a strong statement and then silence, they feel the weight of your words. That feeling lingers. It becomes part of their experience. You create a moment of connection between your mind and theirs. This connection is the foundation of influence. When your audience feels your message deeply, they are more likely to act on it. Using pause effectively requires self-awareness. You need to listen to your own speaking habits. Do you rush? Do you fill silence with meaningless sounds? Becoming conscious of these habits is the first step to change. You can then practice choosing moments of silence instead. It may feel strange at first, but with time it becomes a powerful habit. In conversation or public speaking, pause helps you lead discussions calmly and confidently. Instead of reacting quickly or interrupting, you give yourself space to think and respond thoughtfully. This shows maturity and wisdom. Others notice when you speak deliberately. It invites respect and attention. In every environment where leadership is needed, whether a meeting, a negotiation, or a casual talk, the pause becomes your secret weapon. It helps your message land more clearly and with more influence. When your audience experiences your words as purposeful and measured, they listen differently. They trust your leadership because your communication feels solid and intentional. The greatest leaders in history used pause naturally. Their speeches did not flood the air with non-stop talk. Instead, they delivered messages with steady calm, stopping at the right moments to let their ideas sink deep. That pattern made their words memorable and powerful. It is available to you too. You only need to learn how to use it. Mastering the pause means learning to be comfortable with quiet. It means trusting the strength of your message without rushing to fill space. It means understanding that less can be more. The power of your voice grows when you allow your words to stand alone before moving forward. This is a key to speaking like a leader. This is how influence is born. The journey to pause well may feel challenging at first. It may feel awkward or even frightening. But those who push through discover a new level of presence and authority in their speech. The quiet moments between words become the foundation on which your leadership voice is built. It is a gift you give both yourself and your listeners. The silence makes your words resonate longer and deeper. It creates respect, clarity, and trust. Use it wisely and often. It will transform how people hear you and how you lead. Chapter 3. Maintain strong eye contact while speaking. In many conversations, people avoid eye contact without even realizing it. They look away at the ceiling, glance at their notes, or stare at the floor. This avoidance happens because looking directly into someone's eyes feels intense or uncomfortable. It can make people nervous or self-conscious. The reality is that most people experience this at some point. Yet strong leaders do something different. They use their eyes to connect deeply and directly with those they speak to. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools a leader has. It builds trust instantly. It shows confidence. It invites engagement. When a leader holds steady eye contact, the listener feels recognized and valued. The conversation becomes more real and personal. This simple act changes everything. Strong eye contact is not about staring coldly or making others feel uncomfortable. It is about holding genuine attention and showing presence. The eyes are windows to sincerity. When your gaze meets another person's, it communicates honesty and openness without a single word. It tells them you are fully present. You are listening and you care. Avoiding eye contact can suggest disinterest, distraction, or insecurity. People sense this quickly and lose respect. When leaders maintain steady eye contact, They create connection and authority at the same time. It is a silent message of strength. Most people underestimate how much eye contact influences how others perceive them. It is often the first impression in any interaction. When you enter a room, your eyes send a signal before your voice does. Are you confident or hesitant? Are you focused or distracted? Strong eye contact immediately answers these questions. It sets the tone for the entire conversation. When people feel your steady gaze, they are more likely to listen closely and trust your words. It draws them in and holds their attention. The challenge for many is that holding eye contact feels vulnerable. It can stir anxiety or fear of judgment. But leadership requires stepping into that vulnerability with courage. It means showing up fully even when it is uncomfortable. Strong leaders practice this by reminding themselves that eye contact is a bridge, not a barrier. It connects minds and hearts. Over time, what feels awkward becomes natural and powerful. You become a person who commands presence simply by the way you look at others. There is also a rhythm to eye contact that leaders master. You do not need to stare fixedly without blinking or looking away. That would feel forced and unsettling. Instead, leaders hold eye contact long enough to create connection, but then shift naturally to allow comfort. This balance shows confidence and respect. It signals that you are attentive but not intrusive. Your eyes invite dialogue, not confrontation. Eye contact also helps you read the room. When you look directly at someone, you see their reactions clearly. You notice their facial expressions, their emotional response, their engagement level. This information is vital for a leader. It allows you to adjust your message, tone, or pace based on the feedback you receive. If someone looks confused or doubtful, you can slow down and clarify. If they look inspired or excited, you can build momentum. The eyes are a mirror reflecting how your message lands. Without strong eye contact, you miss this vital connection. Practicing eye contact requires awareness and discipline. Start by making eye contact in everyday conversations. Notice how it changes the dynamic. Notice how people respond when you hold their gaze. You will find that conversations become more meaningful. People feel seen and heard. This builds deeper respect and connection. When speaking to groups, shift your gaze slowly around the room. Make eye contact with individuals for a few seconds each. This creates a feeling that you are speaking directly to every person. It breaks down the distance between you and your audience. They feel involved, not isolated. Strong eye contact also enhances your own confidence. When you see the effect of your gaze on others, it reinforces your leadership presence. It reminds you that your message matters. You carry a quiet power that does not rely on volume or force, but on connection. Your eyes become a tool of influence. You do not have to say everything loudly to be heard. In situations where you feel nervous or uncertain, eye contact can be grounding. Focusing on one person's eyes helps calm your mind and anchor your thoughts. It reduces distraction and builds focus. The physical act of meeting someone's eyes can steady your breath and voice. It shifts your energy from anxiety to engagement. This internal shift shows on the outside and strengthens your leadership presence. It is important to remember cultural differences in eye contact. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact can be seen as disrespectful or aggressive. A wise leader observes these nuances and adjusts accordingly. The goal is always connection and respect, never discomfort or dominance. Sensitivity to others' comfort levels in eye contact itself shows emotional intelligence, a vital leadership quality. Eye contact is also essential when delivering difficult messages. It shows courage and transparency. When you look directly at someone while sharing tough truths, it builds respect, even if the message is hard to hear. It communicates that you stand behind your words and respect the listener's dignity. Avoiding eye contact in these moments can make your message seem uncertain or evasive. Leaders who meet eyes openly earn trust and maintain relationships through honesty. Strong eye contact deepens emotional connections. It triggers a subconscious response that builds empathy and understanding. When your gaze holds steady, it makes people feel safe and accepted. This emotional safety opens hearts and minds to your message. It transforms simple information into shared experience. This connection is the foundation of real leadership influence. Maintaining eye contact also shows you value the person you are speaking to. It is a sign of respect that says their presence matters. This respect builds loyalty and cooperation. When people feel valued, they are more willing to follow and support your vision. Your gaze becomes a powerful way to express this without needing extra words. Leaders who master eye contact develop a magnetic presence. People naturally want to be near them and listen to them. This presence is not about charisma alone. It is about authentic connection made through steady, sincere gaze. It signals you are trustworthy and engaged. It draws others in and holds their attention longer. In leadership, every moment of communication matters. Eye contact is a simple yet profound way to maximize the impact of your words. It transforms ordinary talk into meaningful dialogue. It strengthens bonds and builds influence quietly but powerfully. Practicing this skill every day makes it an unconscious habit. Soon, your gaze will become one of your greatest leadership assets. People will remember not only what you said, but how you made them feel seen and heard. Strong eye contact anchors your leadership voice. It bridges the gap between speaking and connecting. It makes your presence felt even before you say a word. This silent communication speaks volumes about who you are as a leader. It is a skill available to anyone willing to face discomfort and choose connection. The courage to hold someone's gaze opens doors to influence, respect, and trust. It shapes your leadership story every time you speak. Chapter 4. Eliminate filler words to sound more credible. People often do not realize how much filler words sneak into their speech. Words like you know, like, and so can fill the space between thoughts without adding meaning. These fillers creep in when speakers feel uncertain, nervous, or rushed. Most times, speakers use them automatically without thinking. The reality is that these small sounds chip away at your credibility. They distract listeners and make your message seem less confident. When a leader speaks with too many fillers, their authority weakens. Listeners begin to doubt the clarity and strength of the message. Eliminating filler words is a vital step to sounding more powerful and credible. This skill changes how people receive your words. Every leader wants to be taken seriously. That starts with how you speak. Filler words create an impression of hesitation. They suggest your mind is not fully organized or that you lack confidence. This is rarely true, but perception matters. People judge your leadership ability in part by how you communicate. Clear, deliberate speech builds trust and respect. It signals that you know what you are talking about and are fully present. Cutting out filler words sharpens your voice and strengthens your presence. Removing fillers is not about speaking perfectly or never making a mistake. It is about becoming aware of your habits and practicing control. The first step is listening carefully to yourself. Record your conversations or speeches and pay attention to how often you use filler words. You might be surprised by how frequent they appear. Awareness alone creates a shift. When you know where fillers occur, you can begin to change. A common reason people rely on filler words is the fear of silence. Silence in conversation can feel awkward. Many rush to fill that space with any sound, even meaningless ones. Leaders learn to embrace brief pauses instead of fillers. Silence gives your brain time to organize thoughts, and your audience time to absorb your words. Replacing fillers with silence adds power to your speech. It creates a rhythm that commands attention rather than diluting it. Filler words also appear when you speak too quickly. Speaking fast overwhelms your mind and causes you to grasp for sounds to keep the flow. Slowing down your speech helps reduce filler use. When you speak slowly and clearly, your words come easier and feel more natural. People listen more carefully because your voice carries weight and purpose. This deliberate pace signals leadership and authority. Practice exercises help eliminate fillers. One effective exercise is to read aloud and consciously pause where you feel the urge to say or like. Over time, your brain rewires itself to replace fillers with silence. Another technique is to practice speaking in short sentences, focusing on clarity and completeness before moving on. This slows your thought process and reduces the need for filler sounds. It is important to be patient with yourself during this process. Breaking habits takes time. Many leaders struggle at first and slip back into old patterns. The key is consistent practice and self-awareness. Over time, your speech will become clearer, stronger, and more credible. The effort pays off in greater influence and respect. Eliminating fillers also improves your emotional connection with the audience. Filler words interrupt the flow of your message and make it harder for listeners to stay engaged. When your speech is clean and confident, listeners feel your sincerity and focus. They sense your conviction because your voice carries fewer distractions. This builds trust, making your ideas more compelling. In conversations, fillers can weaken your ability to persuade or inspire. People naturally lose interest when a speaker sounds unsure or unprepared. Clear speech signals that you value your audience's time and attention. It shows respect and professionalism. Leaders who speak clearly and without fillers become memorable because their message lands fully and clearly. Another benefit of eliminating fillers is that it helps you organize your thoughts better. When you slow down and avoid fillers, you become more thoughtful in what you say. This clarity allows you to express your ideas in a logical and impactful way. Your conversations become more strategic because you speak intentionally. This intentionality is a hallmark of leadership. Filler words often mask moments of uncertainty or lack of preparation. When you remove them, you reveal a stronger version of yourself. Listeners perceive you as someone who knows their message and delivers it with confidence. This creates a ripple effect. Your leadership presence grows and opens doors to new opportunities and influence. Eliminating fillers is especially important in high-stakes situations like presentations, meetings, or negotiations. In these moments, every word counts. A speech filled with filler words weakens your position and distracts your listeners. A clean, deliberate voice commands respect and attention. It gives you an edge that few others master. Many leaders discover that as they eliminate fillers, their overall communication skills improve. They become better listeners, better thinkers, and better speakers. This transformation boosts their confidence and presence in every interaction. People notice the difference and respond positively. Remember that your voice is your instrument of influence. Every unnecessary word takes away from its power. Leaders who respect their voice invest time in cleaning it up. They understand that clear communication is a critical part of leadership. This respect shows in how they prepare, practice, and present themselves. The journey to eliminating filler words may feel difficult at first. It requires discipline and self-awareness. But it is a journey worth taking. Every step forward enhances your credibility and influence. When your speech becomes sharper, your leadership shines brighter. People listen, they believe, they follow. Leaders who master this skill gain a lasting advantage. Their words carry weight long after they finish speaking. The clarity of their speech becomes a reflection of the clarity of their vision. The strength of their voice becomes a beacon for others to rally around. This skill is not reserved for natural speakers. Anyone can develop it with focus and practice. It is a simple change that creates profound results. Start by listening, then practice replacing fillers with silence. Speak slowly and clearly. Choose your words carefully. Your credibility depends on it. In the end, eliminating filler words is about respect for your message, your audience, and yourself. It is about owning your voice and commanding your space. The more you practice, the more your speech will reflect the leader you are becoming. Your voice will inspire confidence, foster trust, and lead others toward a shared vision. Chapter 5. Use storytelling to inspire and connect emotionally. Every day, people hear countless facts, figures, and instructions. Most of these details are quickly forgotten because they fail to touch the heart. Facts alone rarely inspire action or create lasting impact. The truth is that people connect deeply with stories. Stories awaken emotions, create vivid pictures in the mind, and invite listeners to see themselves in the message. Yet many struggle to tell their story well. They fear being too personal or worry about losing professionalism. This fear keeps many leaders from using one of the most powerful tools in their communication toolbox. Storytelling is more than entertainment. It is a strategic way to inspire, teach, and unite people around a vision. At its core, a story connects the head and the heart. It makes abstract ideas real and relatable. When a leader shares a story, they invite listeners into a shared experience. This emotional bridge builds trust and loyalty. People remember how a story made them feel long after they forget the facts. It is through stories that leaders move others from understanding to belief to action. This process is essential in leadership, where inspiring change is the goal. Most leaders have a story worth telling, but they underestimate its power. It might be a challenge they overcame, a lesson learned the hard way, or a moment that shifted their perspective. These moments are not just personal, they are universal. When shared with honesty, they resonate with others facing similar struggles or decisions. This resonance creates connection. It opens hearts to your message and builds a foundation for influence. The key to effective storytelling is authenticity. Listeners can sense when a story is rehearsed or exaggerated. Real stories, told with vulnerability and honesty, carry far more weight. They show your humanity and build credibility. When leaders reveal their true journey, complete with struggles and doubts, it makes them approachable and trustworthy. People do not expect perfection, they expect realness. This realness inspires others to trust and follow. Stories also give structure to your message. A well-told story has a beginning that sets the scene, a middle that presents conflict or challenge, and an ending that offers resolution or insight. This structure keeps the audience engaged and guides them through your message logically and emotionally. It helps people understand the point you want to make in a memorable way. Using sensory details in your story brings it to life. Describe what you saw, heard, felt, or even smelled. These details paint a vivid mental picture that captures attention. When listeners imagine the scene clearly, they become active participants in the story. This active involvement deepens the emotional impact. It moves your message from words into experience. Stories also allow leaders to connect on a human level beyond titles or status. When you share a story, you lower barriers and invite empathy. People begin to see you not just as a figure of authority, but as a person with hopes, fears, and lessons learned. This connection breaks down walls and builds stronger relationships. It makes your leadership feel accessible and genuine. A powerful story can also serve as a call to action. When people see the outcome of a story, whether success or failure, it motivates them to take their own steps. Stories show possibilities and consequences more effectively than abstract advice. They inspire listeners to act because they have walked through the journey with you emotionally. In conversations, weaving stories into your points makes your communication more engaging and persuasive. Instead of listing reasons or instructions, share a story that illustrates your message. This approach helps others understand complex ideas with ease. It also makes your message more relatable and less like a lecture. People naturally pay attention to stories because they appeal to our instinct to learn from experience. Leaders who master storytelling develop a voice that stands out. They are remembered not just for what they say, but how they make people feel. Their stories linger in the minds and hearts of listeners, creating lasting influence. This skill separates leaders who inspire from those who simply inform. Many people shy away from storytelling because they think it requires special talent. The truth is that everyone has stories worth telling. The difference is practice and intention. Start by reflecting on your own experiences. Identify moments that taught you important lessons or changed your outlook. Practice sharing those moments in simple, clear language. Focus on being honest rather than perfect. Listening to great storytellers also helps. Notice how they use emotion, timing, and detail to pull you in. Notice how their stories connect to their message and purpose. You can learn to do the same by studying their craft and adapting it to your style. Stories also work well in written communication. Emails, reports, and presentations that include stories capture attention better than dry facts. A brief story at the start of a message creates interest and emotional connection, preparing the audience to receive your main points. This simple addition increases the impact of your communication across all channels. It is important to tailor your stories to your audience. Consider what will resonate with them based on their values, challenges, and aspirations. Stories that speak directly to the listener's experience feel more relevant and powerful. This relevance deepens connection and trust. Leaders who use storytelling effectively create a culture of openness and shared values. Their stories become part of the organizational narrative, inspiring teams and guiding decisions. Stories shape identity and direction because they carry meaning beyond policies or goals. They create a shared sense of purpose and belonging. Storytelling also invites participation. When leaders share their journey, they encourage others to share theirs. This exchange builds community and collaboration. It creates a safe space where people feel valued and understood. This environment fuels creativity and commitment. Remember that a good story does not have to be long or complicated. Sometimes the simplest stories carry the greatest impact. A short personal anecdote or a vivid example can communicate volumes. The power lies in the connection it creates, not in its length. Using stories in leadership is not just about inspiring others. It also helps you clarify your own vision and values. When you tell your story, you reflect on what matters most. This reflection strengthens your sense of purpose and direction. It anchors your leadership in authenticity. In times of change or challenge, stories provide stability and hope. They remind people of past successes and the lessons learned. They offer a narrative that guides through uncertainty. Leaders who share stories during difficult times help their team stay motivated and focused. The power of storytelling is timeless. Across cultures and generations, stories shape beliefs, behaviors, and communities. As a leader, embracing storytelling connects you to this deep human tradition. It enriches your communication and expands your influence. Every story you tell becomes a thread in the fabric of your leadership legacy. Chapter 6. Match your tone to your message purposefully. Many people speak without realizing how much their tone affects the way their message is received. The truth is, tone carries as much weight as the words themselves. You can say something important, but if your tone does not match, your message will lose power or create confusion. Every leader faces moments when their tone either lifts others up or pushes them away. Speaking with the right tone is a skill that must be developed. It demands awareness, control, and a deep understanding of your message and audience. It is common to see leaders whose words promise confidence, but whose tone reveals doubt. This mismatch creates tension and mistrust. Listeners pick up on this disconnect quickly because tone communicates emotion and intent beneath the surface. If your tone is flat or hesitant, while your words call for action, people will hesitate to follow. Conversely, a warm and passionate tone can inspire belief even if the message is complex or challenging. Purposeful tone means that every time you speak, you think about the feeling you want to convey. Your tone should fit the purpose of the message. For example, when delivering good news or encouragement, a lively and enthusiastic tone energizes listeners. When discussing serious matters or setbacks, a calm and measured tone shows respect and thoughtfulness. When issuing instructions, a clear and direct tone commands attention and clarity. Many leaders struggle with tone because they are not fully aware of the emotional undercurrents in their speech. It takes practice to recognize how tone shifts and how those shifts impact listeners. Recording your voice and listening to the emotional quality of your words helps develop this awareness. Pay attention to moments where your tone rises, falls, softens, or hardens. Notice how these changes either support or detract from your message. Your tone also influences how people perceive your confidence and authenticity. A natural, sincere tone signals that you believe in your message and care about your audience. On the other hand, a forced or artificial tone can create distance and doubt. Authenticity in tone comes from being fully present and connected to your message. When you speak from a place of genuine conviction, your tone naturally aligns with your purpose. It is important to avoid a monotone delivery because it bores listeners and diminishes impact. Varying your tone, volume, and pace creates a dynamic experience that keeps attention. Thoughtful use of pauses adds emphasis and lets important points sink in. These variations make your speech feel alive and intentional. Leaders who master tone create an emotional journey for their audience, not just a series of facts. Matching tone to message also involves reading the room or situation. Effective leaders are skilled at adjusting their tone based on the context and audience mood. For example, a team struggling through a setback needs a leader who sounds hopeful and steady, not frustrated or rushed. During celebrations, a joyful and warm tone strengthens connections and morale. This sensitivity shows emotional intelligence and respect. When speaking one-on-one, tone builds rapport and trust. A soft and empathetic tone can open hearts and encourage honest conversation. When giving feedback or addressing conflict, a tone that is calm and respectful diffuses tension and promotes cooperation. Tone shapes the emotional environment of any interaction, so leaders who control their tone create positive and productive relationships. It is also important to recognize cultural differences in tone and communication style. What sounds warm and confident in one culture might seem too loud or aggressive in another. Leaders who work with diverse teams benefit from learning how tone is perceived differently and adapting accordingly. This cultural awareness enhances connection and prevents misunderstandings. Leaders who fail to match tone to message risk sending mixed signals. This disconnect can cause confusion, frustration, or disengagement. For example, a leader who says, "I am excited about this project," but sounds bored or tired, causes doubt about their enthusiasm and commitment. Consistency between words and tone builds credibility and inspires confidence. Practicing purposeful tone involves rehearsing your message with intention. Try delivering the same message in different tones and notice how the meaning changes. This exercise develops flexibility and control. It also helps you discover the tone that best fits your personality and message. Leaders who sound natural and authentic are more effective than those who imitate a style that does not suit them. In moments of high emotion, such as delivering difficult news or motivating during crisis, tone becomes even more critical. A steady and compassionate tone reassures people and keeps focus. A harsh or defensive tone only escalates stress and resistance. Leaders who master their tone in pressure situations demonstrate emotional strength and inspire calm. Your tone is a powerful tool that shapes how your message is felt and acted upon. It can inspire courage, spark creativity, calm fears, or build connection. Using tone purposefully means becoming an artist with your voice, painting the emotional landscape for your words. This artistry is a skill that separates good speakers from true leaders. Many successful leaders credit their tone as a key factor in their influence. They do not rely on words alone, but use tone to bring their vision to life. Tone is the energy behind your message. It invites others to believe in your leadership and follow your direction. The path to mastering tone requires self-awareness and practice. Begin by paying attention to how your voice changes in different situations. Notice which tones feel natural and which feel forced. Record yourself and listen for places where tone does not support your words. Practice speaking with varied emotions and purposes until you can shift smoothly and confidently. Engage trusted friends or mentors to give feedback on your tone. They can help identify habits you might miss and suggest improvements. Over time, you will build a strong, versatile voice that serves your leadership in every conversation. Remember that tone is more than volume or pitch. It includes rhythm, pace, and emotional coloring. All these elements combine to create a message that connects deeply. Leaders who master this skill speak with intention and power. Their words do not just inform, but move people to action. Developing a purposeful tone strengthens your overall communication. It enhances how you deliver ideas, give feedback, inspire teams, and build relationships. Your leadership presence grows as your voice carries clarity, confidence, and care. Ultimately, matching your tone to your message shows respect for your audience and the moment. It demonstrates that you are thoughtful, prepared, and emotionally intelligent. These qualities earn trust and loyalty. Your tone becomes a bridge that turns your words into lasting impact. Chapter 7. Ask powerful questions to lead conversations. Many people think leading conversations means having all the answers and speaking most of the time. The truth is, leadership often comes from asking the right questions. Asking powerful questions opens doors to new ideas, encourages others to think deeply, and creates a space where people feel heard and valued. When a leader asks a question that challenges thinking, it sparks insight and motivation. Without strong questions, conversations tend to stay shallow or one-sided, missing the chance to grow and improve. It is common for leaders to rush to solutions or give orders without first understanding the situation fully. This approach limits the potential of the team and can cause missed opportunities. Powerful questions slow down the pace, allowing for reflection and clarity. They make people stop and think carefully about what matters most. When you ask questions that matter, you help others explore their own thoughts and feelings. This leads to stronger commitment and better decisions. A leader who asks meaningful questions signals that they respect the input of others and value collaboration. Questions build trust by showing you want to learn and understand rather than just direct. The right questions can break down barriers and encourage openness. They reveal hidden challenges or new possibilities that might otherwise go unnoticed. This makes your leadership more inclusive and effective. Powerful questions are clear and focused. They avoid being vague or overly complicated. Simple, direct questions create a safe environment for honest answers. Examples include asking, "What do you see as the biggest challenge here?" Or, "How do you think we can improve this?" These questions invite practical thinking and honest sharing. They encourage people to take ownership of problems and solutions. Another important aspect is asking open-ended questions. These questions cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. They invite explanation and storytelling. When people explain their thinking, it deepens understanding and reveals emotions behind ideas. This is where real connection happens. Open-ended questions help you uncover motivations, fears, and hopes that drive behavior. These insights allow you to lead with empathy and wisdom. Asking questions also keeps the conversation alive and dynamic. It prevents discussions from getting stuck or one-sided. A well-timed question can redirect focus, clarify confusion, or invite new perspectives. Leaders who use questions skillfully guide conversations toward productive outcomes without dominating. This shows humility and respect for the collective intelligence of the group. Sometimes the most powerful questions challenge assumptions. They encourage people to think beyond their comfort zones. Questions like, "What if we tried a different approach?" or "Why do we believe this is the best way?" push teams to innovate and improve. Leaders who ask these questions foster a culture of curiosity and continuous learning. This mindset is essential for growth in any organization. It is also important to ask questions with genuine interest and curiosity. The tone and body language used when asking a question impact how it is received. If a question sounds judgmental or dismissive, people will shut down. But when questions are asked with warmth and openness, they invite honest and thoughtful responses. This creates a powerful connection between leader and team. Leaders should avoid asking leading or loaded questions that imply a desired answer. Such questions damage trust and limit real dialogue. Instead, focus on neutral, exploratory questions that encourage free thinking. This approach helps uncover truth rather than confirm bias. It also models a healthy way of thinking for others to follow. Asking questions is not just about gathering information, but about encouraging responsibility. When you ask someone, "What will you do next?" or "How can you contribute to the solution?" you empower them to take action. This shifts ownership from the leader to the team and builds confidence. People feel motivated when they are invited to participate actively in decision-making. It is natural for some leaders to feel uncomfortable asking questions, especially if they believe they must have all the answers. Overcoming this mindset opens the door to more effective leadership. Questions show strength, not weakness. They demonstrate that you trust your team and value their input. This builds loyalty and inspires better performance. Practice is key to mastering the art of asking powerful questions. Start by preparing a few thoughtful questions before meetings or conversations. Pay attention to the responses and follow up with deeper questions when needed. Observe how your questions change the tone and direction of discussions. Over time, you will develop a natural skill for guiding conversations with questions. Effective questioning also requires active listening. When you ask a question, listen carefully to the answer without interrupting or planning your next point. This shows respect and encourages openness. Respond to answers with empathy and further inquiry. This back and forth creates a meaningful dialogue that strengthens relationships and solves problems. Leaders who ask powerful questions create an environment where everyone feels invited to contribute. This inclusion sparks creativity and innovation. Teams become more engaged and motivated because their voices matter. The result is better ideas, stronger commitment, and a shared sense of purpose. In fast-paced environments, it can be tempting to rush conversations and give quick answers. However, slowing down with well-crafted questions often leads to faster and better results. Taking the time to understand before acting reduces mistakes and builds alignment. Leadership is not about speed alone, but about guiding with clarity and depth. Strong questions also help leaders uncover hidden talents and strengths in their teams. When you ask about past successes or what energizes someone, you learn how to deploy people where they can shine. This builds confidence and improves performance. Leaders who understand their team's potential can motivate and develop them more effectively. Asking powerful questions is an essential leadership skill that transforms the way you communicate and influence. It shifts leadership from telling to engaging. It creates dialogue instead of monologue. This change opens new possibilities for growth, innovation, and collaboration. When you master this skill, your conversations become opportunities to inspire and empower. You lead not by commanding, but by guiding through curiosity and respect. Your questions become the key to unlocking potential and driving meaningful change. The practice of asking powerful questions grows your leadership presence and impact. It shows you are thoughtful, inclusive, and wise. People follow leaders who listen and ask, not just those who speak. This skill makes your voice a source of inspiration and progress. Every conversation becomes a chance to build trust, foster understanding, and ignite action. Powerful questions create a culture where ideas flow freely and people feel valued. This culture is the foundation of lasting success and strong leadership. Leading conversations with questions transforms relationships and results. It empowers others to think bigger, act bolder, and own their role. This shift elevates the entire team and organization. The habit of asking strong questions marks the difference between ordinary communication and true leadership. Chapter 8. Acknowledge others before asserting your ideas. Most people want to be heard. They want their thoughts and efforts recognized. When that need is ignored, conversations feel like battles. People shut down or push back. This is the reality in many workplaces and teams. Leaders who fail to acknowledge others create distance and resistance. It is a tough truth, but no one follows someone who only talks about themselves or their ideas without respect for others. True leadership starts with recognition. Acknowledging others is not a sign of weakness. It is a powerful step to build trust and cooperation. Before speaking your own ideas, take a moment to highlight the contributions or perspectives of those around you. This shows you see their value and appreciate their efforts. When people feel respected, they open their minds and hearts to listen. Their defense is lower, and a genuine dialogue can begin. This simple act can transform a tense room into a collaborative space. It signals that leadership is not about control, but about connection. In daily interactions, leaders often rush to push their own agendas. This causes friction and missed opportunities. Pausing to recognize others creates a bridge. It says, "I hear you, I respect your work." This acknowledgement does not weaken your position. Instead, it strengthens your voice by building a foundation of mutual respect. It makes people more willing to consider your ideas because they feel valued first. Acknowledging others also means giving credit where it is due, celebrating small wins, mentioning team members by name, or recognizing different viewpoints energizes the group. It shifts the focus from competition to cooperation. Recognition motivates people to contribute more and share openly. It reminds everyone that leadership is a shared journey, not a solo act. Sometimes acknowledgement requires humility. It means admitting when others have better ideas or solutions. This can be uncomfortable, especially for those who believe leaders must always appear confident and knowledgeable. Yet humility in leadership is a mark of strength, not weakness. It shows you are secure enough to put the team's success above your ego. People respect leaders who are honest and willing to learn. When you acknowledge others first, your ideas come across as inclusive rather than imposing. The conversation changes from "my way or no way" to "let's build on what we have together." This creates a sense of ownership and partnership. People want to support leaders who invite them into the process instead of dictating terms. Your leadership becomes a magnet, attracting collaboration instead of resistance. In practical terms, acknowledgement can be as simple as starting your remarks with a statement like, "I appreciate the insights shared earlier," or "What John said about the challenges really points us in the right direction." These words are not just politeness. They are strategic tools that open minds and soften hearts. They set a positive tone that encourages open exchange rather than defensive debate. Leaders who regularly practice acknowledgement create a culture where respect flows freely. This culture strengthens relationships and increases productivity. People feel safer to share ideas and take risks. Innovation thrives in an environment where everyone's voice matters. The leader's role shifts from being a commander to a facilitator of collective wisdom. Ignoring this principle often leads to frustration and conflict. People resist when they feel ignored or undervalued. Meetings become battlegrounds instead of creative forums. Trust erodes and turnover rises. Recognizing this pattern early allows leaders to adjust their approach and rebuild harmony. The simple act of acknowledgement is a powerful antidote to discord. Beyond the workplace, this principle applies to all areas of life where influence matters. In families, friendships, and communities, people respond to leaders who honor their contributions. This creates bonds that last and inspire loyalty. Leadership built on acknowledgement fosters a sense of belonging and shared purpose. Acknowledging others requires genuine attention and presence. It cannot be forced or superficial. People detect when recognition is insincere or just a tactic. True acknowledgement comes from listening deeply and appreciating the unique strengths each person brings. This authentic respect fuels engagement and commitment. It also means being patient and giving space for others to express themselves fully before sharing your thoughts. Interrupting or dismissing ideas prematurely undermines trust. Taking time to acknowledge creates a rhythm of respect and thoughtful exchange. It makes the conversation richer and more productive. Leaders who master acknowledgement increase their influence naturally. They build networks of support that carry through challenges and change. People follow leaders who make them feel seen and valued. This connection makes the difference between short-term compliance and long-term loyalty. In moments of disagreement or tension, acknowledgement acts as a calming force. It reminds everyone that despite differences, respect remains. This foundation allows difficult conversations to proceed constructively rather than destructively. Leaders who cultivate this habit become anchors in turbulent times. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice acknowledgement. It does not require grand gestures, but consistent small acts of respect and appreciation. Over time, these acts shape the culture and identity of teams and organizations. Leadership becomes a reflection of care and collaboration rather than control and command. When you acknowledge others before asserting your ideas, you create a fertile ground for growth. Your ideas do not stand alone, they build on the contributions of many. This synergy produces better solutions and stronger results. It turns leadership into a shared journey toward common goals. The impact of this simple habit extends beyond immediate outcomes. It influences the way people see themselves and their potential. Feeling recognized boosts confidence and encourages continued effort. It empowers people to step into their own leadership roles and contribute fully. This approach to leadership requires intentionality and practice. It means shifting focus from self to others, from speaking to listening first. It demands courage to be vulnerable and open to different perspectives. Leaders who embrace this path find their influence deepening and their relationships strengthening. Acknowledging others before sharing your ideas is not a suggestion, it is a necessity for effective leadership. It transforms communication from confrontation to collaboration. It turns ideas into shared visions. It builds a foundation of trust that supports long-term success. By prioritizing respect and recognition, you set an example that inspires others to follow. You create an environment where every voice matters and every contribution counts. This environment is the hallmark of true leadership. It is where real change begins and thrives. Chapter 9. Speak last to gather insight and show wisdom. The hardest part about leading conversations is knowing when to speak and when to hold back. Most people rush to share their ideas first, hoping to take control or prove their point. But the reality is that speaking first often means missing important information. In many situations, the real power lies in listening quietly and letting others express their thoughts before stepping in. This is a truth that many leaders overlook. Speaking last is not about being passive or unsure. It is about showing patience, wisdom, and respect. It means valuing the full picture before adding your voice. When you speak last, you gain a clearer understanding of the conversation. You hear different perspectives, concerns, and ideas that you may not have considered. This gives you a richer foundation to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. People sense this depth in your words. They recognize that you are not just speaking to be heard, but to contribute meaningfully. This creates a stronger impact and builds your credibility as a leader. Many struggle with silence in discussions because it feels uncomfortable. The urge to fill the space with words is strong. Yet silence can be a leader's greatest tool. It invites others to share more honestly. It shows that you are fully present and willing to absorb what is being said. When others know they have your full attention, they become more open and engaged. This openness leads to better ideas and solutions that come from the group rather than just one person. Waiting to speak last also allows you to avoid unnecessary conflict. When people speak first without hearing others, conversations often become debates or arguments. When you hold back, you allow emotions to settle and viewpoints to clarify. Your response then becomes a bridge that connects different opinions instead of adding fuel to the fire. This approach turns difficult conversations into opportunities for growth and understanding. Choosing to speak last requires confidence. It means trusting that your ideas will be stronger after hearing others. This confidence is a hallmark of true leadership. It shows that you value collective wisdom and are not driven by ego. It demonstrates that you are comfortable with uncertainty and willing to learn from the group. This humility combined with patience sets you apart from those who rush to dominate discussions. In practice, this means listening deeply during meetings or conversations without preparing your reply while others speak. It means taking notes or mentally tracking key points so your final remarks are informed and relevant. It means resisting the urge to interrupt or react immediately. Instead, you wait until all voices have been heard, then speak with clarity and purpose. Your words will carry more weight because they are grounded in the full context. Speaking last also gives you the chance to clarify misunderstandings or build on ideas in a way that honors the contributions of others. You can acknowledge the good points made and gently guide the conversation toward a shared conclusion. This inclusive approach fosters trust and collaboration. It shifts the dynamic from leader versus followers to a team moving forward together. Sometimes, speaking last means staying silent longer than feels comfortable. It may mean letting others talk over each other or hearing criticism before responding. This requires emotional strength and self-control. Leaders who develop this skill become anchors in chaotic situations. Their calm presence steadies the group and encourages thoughtful dialogue. Their words become a source of clarity amid confusion. This approach also encourages others to prepare and contribute more meaningfully. When people know the leader listens before speaking, they feel their input matters. This raises the level of conversation and engagement. It creates a culture where ideas are refined through shared insights rather than imposed from the top. Leaders who speak last nurture this environment and inspire growth in those around them. Waiting to speak last is not a sign of weakness or indecision. It is a deliberate choice to lead with wisdom. It is a way to show respect for the process and the people involved. It sets a tone of patience and openness that others are likely to follow. Over time, this habit builds stronger relationships and better results. In everyday situations, speaking last can be a game changer. Whether in a boardroom, a community meeting, or a family discussion, the leader who listens first and speaks last gains influence without force. They create space for ideas to flourish and for solutions to emerge naturally. This kind of leadership fosters unity and forward movement. The challenge is to break the habit of jumping in too soon. It requires awareness and practice to resist the impulse to speak first. This change can be uncomfortable at first, but rewarding in the long run. The leader who masters this skill will find conversations less stressful and more productive. They will notice greater respect and cooperation from others. Being the last to speak also means you have the opportunity to summarize and focus the discussion. You can highlight common ground and outline next steps. This clarity helps everyone leave the conversation with purpose and direction. It reduces confusion and increases commitment. People appreciate leaders who bring order and focus after hearing many voices. Leaders who speak last demonstrate a commitment to thoughtful decision-making. They do not rush to conclusions, but carefully weigh all input. This approach reduces mistakes and increases the quality of choices. It shows maturity and responsibility. People trust leaders who take the time to understand before acting. In high-stakes situations, speaking last can prevent costly errors. Quick, impulsive remarks often escalate problems. A calm and measured response after hearing all sides can de-escalate tension and find common solutions. Leaders who practice this earn the reputation of being steady and reliable under pressure. This skill also improves personal confidence. When you trust the power of your words and timing, you speak with greater authority. Your ideas resonate more deeply because they come from reflection rather than reaction. This confidence invites others to listen and follow your lead naturally. Finally, speaking last reminds leaders that leadership is a service, not a performance. It shifts focus from being center stage to supporting the group's success. This mindset fosters humility and purpose. It helps leaders build lasting influence based on respect and collaboration. Every conversation is an opportunity to practice speaking last. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but becomes easier with time. The payoff is clear: deeper understanding, stronger relationships, and more effective leadership. Speaking last is a powerful way to lead with wisdom and impact. Chapter 10. Learn to fall in love with boredom. Most people underestimate how often success demands doing the same thing over and over again without any excitement. They imagine success as thrilling, filled with breakthroughs and constant motivation. But the truth hits hard for those who chase quick results. Progress is not always dramatic. It is often painfully repetitive. It feels slow. It feels dull. And in those moments of stillness when nothing seems to be moving, most people quit. They assume boredom is a signal that they are doing something wrong. But boredom is often the sign that they are finally doing something right. Boredom tests your commitment in ways motivation never can. When you first start something, it is easy to feel inspired. The newness fuels you. The possibilities are exciting. But that fire fades. And when it does, you are left with routine. You are left with discipline. You are left with the same small steps you must take again and again and again. That is the space where greatness is forged. That is the place where most people disappear. They chase the next exciting thing instead of mastering the one in front of them. The truth is that boredom is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows up when you are on the right path. It challenges your mind to stop craving stimulation and start creating consistency. The champions in any field are not the ones who chase variety. They are the ones who show up every day to the same task and execute it with care and attention. They repeat drills. They study fundamentals. They stick with the plan long after it becomes dull. They understand that the key to long-term success is not finding constant excitement. It is falling in love with the process, even when it feels uneventful. You must retrain your mind to see boredom differently. It is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to go deeper. When things become boring, that is the moment to focus more, not less. That is the moment to refine your form, improve your timing, study your results, and notice what you used to overlook. Boredom is the beginning of mastery. Most people never get past it. They bounce from one idea to the next, always starting, never finishing. They live on the edge of progress without ever stepping into it. There is no skill, no habit, no transformation that will not at some point become boring. If you are building something meaningful, you will hit walls of monotony. You will repeat the same workouts. You will write the same kinds of pages. You will have the same conversations. And that is not failure. That is what growth actually looks like. It is quiet. It is slow. It is invisible to everyone else. But if you endure it, if you push through the dullness without needing it to feel exciting, you will build something strong. The problem is that most people confuse boredom with stagnation. They think if something is not thrilling, it is not working. That belief is what keeps them average. The great ones know that real progress is found in repetition. It is built in silence. It is formed during ordinary days that look exactly like the one before. They do not need fireworks. They need focus. They need patience. They need the endurance to keep going when there is nothing entertaining about it. Learning to love boredom means you are training your brain to crave consistency over novelty. You are rejecting the modern addiction to constant stimulation. You are learning that peace is found in doing the work regardless of how it feels. That shift changes everything. Suddenly, you are no longer a slave to your emotions. You no longer need motivation to act. You are no longer dependent on the mood of the moment. You act because the action itself is the path. You show up because showing up is the goal. This mindset separates those who start from those who finish. Anyone can start when they feel inspired. That takes no strength. But to continue when it feels slow and uneventful takes maturity. It takes clarity. It takes a deep reason that pulls you forward. If you build that mindset, nothing can stop you. You will become the person who keeps showing up. You will outlast the noise. You will win, not because you were the most talented, but because you refused to quit when things got dull. It is easy to underestimate the value of a boring day. But those days are the foundation of your future. One day of showing up does not change much, but hundreds of those days stacked together create momentum. They build skill. They form habits that turn into identity. They turn effort into automatic behavior. And all of that is only possible if you stick with the work long enough for boredom to set in and pass through it without running away. Most people never make it to the other side of boredom. They stop too soon. They let discomfort convince them to quit. But you are not most people. You are here to do something great. And greatness requires endurance. It demands that you keep working when the applause fades. It calls you to show up on the days when nothing happens. That is the secret most do not want to hear. That is the cost of real success. You do not need to feel inspired every day. You do not need each moment to feel magical. You need to honor the schedule. You need to follow through on what you said you would do. That consistency builds trust with yourself. It rewires your identity. It shows you that you are capable of discipline. And discipline is more powerful than motivation, because it works when you do not feel like it. It works when nothing around you feels exciting. If you want to change your life, stop chasing excitement. Start chasing consistency. Measure your progress by how often you show up, not how thrilling it feels. Let the boredom be your proof. Let it remind you that you are on the edge of something deeper. Embrace it as part of the process, because the person who falls in love with boredom cannot be stopped. They will keep moving forward. They will become unshakable. They will finish what they started. Every great thing you want is on the other side of repetition. Every skill worth mastering comes with seasons of dullness. Every real breakthrough begins with quiet practice. If you learn to love those moments, if you stop running from them, you will find a strength most people never develop, and that strength will carry you through every challenge. This is your edge. This is your advantage, not your talent, not your speed, not your background. Your advantage is that you are willing to keep showing up long after it stops feeling exciting. You are willing to do what others find boring, and in doing so, you will become excellent. You will become reliable. You will become unstoppable.